Well, good evening. It's good to see you again. Sorry we're not meeting face to face, but we'll do the best we can with the video. We'd like to begin by encouraging you to partake of the Lord's Supper tomorrow at 11 o'clock with those of us from the Surprise Church of Christ who are going to be doing this in our homes, at least for a while. And I would encourage you also to tune in to YouTube tomorrow before 11 o'clock. I'm going to be live streaming the communion, and we can all commune together. At least if we're not in the same room, we can be one in spirit as we commune together. You can go to YouTube and search for David Parks, and that should take you to my website where we'll be live streaming the communion, and it's also the same location where you found this video. Well, the last 2 days we've talked about short things, and we're going to do that again today. We first talked about the shortest gospel in the New Testament, and it's not the Gospel of Mark with 16 chapters, but rather it's the gospel of one verse in Acts chapter 10 and verse 38, and how that Jesus of Nazareth, rather God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power, and he went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. And then yesterday we talked about the two shortest verses in the New Testament. We said two verses because the shortest verse in the English passage is Jesus wept in John chapter 11 and verse 35. That's good to know because it teaches us that Jesus cares about us and our heartaches and trials. And then the shortest verse in the original Greek New Testament is found not in John, but rather in 1 Thessalonians 5:16. And it says simply, rejoice evermore. And so you put these two bookends together, and because Jesus cares for us, we can rejoice not only now, but evermore. But now today, what I'd like to do is talk about the shortest prayer in the New Testament. What is the shortest prayer in the New Testament? And not only is it the shortest prayer, but it was perhaps the most quickly answered prayer in the entire New Testament. In Matthew chapter 14, verses 27 to 31, it says, "But immediately Jesus spoke to him, saying, 'Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid.' And Peter answered, 'Lord, if it's you, command me to come to you in the water.'" Now you recognize the context, don't you? And so it continues, and he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. Now, note the next verse. "And when he saw the wind, he was afraid. And beginning to sink, he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Jesus immediately reached out his hand, took hold of him, saying to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?'" I think there are a couple of important lessons in this passage, many as a matter of fact, but two of them are this. When Peter took his eyes off Jesus and fastened them on the problems, he became overwhelmed and began to sink. And he didn't take time to say, well, now, let's see, Jesus, what was the model you gave us, our Father? No, it was just, Lord, save. Lord, save me. And Jesus answered that prayer. Could I encourage you as you go through the remaining days of this problem we're having with the virus to keep continually shooting those bullet prayers to God? A thought comes to you of a need or a praise or a thanksgiving or a need of someone else. Just shout it to God right there, right then. And God will hear it right there and right then. These are challenging times we have. We hope that you will continue to log in as we send out these devotionals. And don't lose heart. Remember that when Peter took his eyes off Jesus and looked at the problem, he began to sink. When you begin to sink, it's time to look to Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame thereof, and is even now seated at the right hand of God. Don't become discouraged or lose heart, because remember, you've read the last chapter, and we win.